just with keeping with the forwards, you said, Chris, that this might signal a change in what Mike Babcock wants to do. What do you mean by that?
Well, we already saw late last season, and then in preseason, he started having Nylander take the right side faceoffs and Matthews take the left side faceoffs. So I almost wonder, and it's really hard to put this to him. Like I will ask him this at some point, but this is the kind of question when there's still roster decisions. If you ask, he's going to bite your head off because he doesn't really want to give away too much of what he's thinking.
His last scrum was very ornery.
Yeah, I was on the. I took a couple of those. Yeah. Like belt tie fastballs right back of my head. But
yeah, he wasn't having it.
That's okay. It's all part of it. No harm, no foul. But I wonder if he's got more confidence in the team's face-off ability in general because he's found a way where on each line he's got more of an advantage by having a righty and a lefty take a strong side face-off. And so maybe that's why he doesn't feel that he needs a fourth line center that can win you that draw because he's got more confidence in these guys. I mean, I'm just trying to think. I mean, it's a clear change in tactics. Like literally in March, he started doing that with every faceoff, right and left side, and right through the playoffs, and they're doing it again. And now all of a sudden he doesn't just have a pure faceoff guy as fourth line center. I mean, the fascinating part about Mike Babcock, and sadly he only shares just the littlest bit, is that he wants to be an innovator, and he's not a guy in any way that just like does it this way because it worked last year. And I would just love to know what's going on either in his head or behind the scenes because this just doesn't seem like a decision. I mean, granted, they probably didn't have a choice to have a skill guy as a fourth center in the past since he's been in Toronto, but this doesn't feel like something that would normally happen. And then I wonder what it says about Matt Martin, who is going to be on the team to start the year. But, you know, we know the clock could potentially be ticking there.
Do you think so?
Well,
I mean, I think that's the biggest question with Leaf fans is with all this depth, how do you, it's not like last year it was one thing. The analytics community has their opinions about Matt Martin. They're well publicized, we know. But this year, he's legitimately taking the spot of somebody who is not just a little better, but probably far better. And is
far more skilled for sure.
Probably more skilled, sorry, yes. And could bring more offensively to the table with what Matt brings, which is a very calming influence in the dressing room, puts players in their happy place, and that can't be underestimated. Is that role long for this team?
Well, we played 82 games last year, and Babs did say the other day, he's on the team. Marty's on the team. So it's clear that he's going to start the year, I think, still playing every game. But I just wonder over time, I mean, he's got 3 years left on his deal. And so Kasperi Kapanen, he's going to the AHL.
Yep.
Probably the same for Soshnikov. Eric Fair probably is waived and down to the Marlies. Like at some point, you're like maybe Jeremy Bracco like tears it up in the Marlies, and you have Kapanen there, and they're going to have to try to create a space. I mean, another way to do that is to trade another forward. Mm-hmm. But at some point, I could see him being knocked from the lineup. It's just we're not there yet.
Okay.
But I don't know if he plays all 4 years here and is a regular player the whole time. I will be surprised.
And gets a ring.
Well, he might get one of those just hanging out.
Singularly?
Oh, sorry, a couple rings.
Multiple rings, many rings.
Multiple rings. And
they're going to have to sort out the D, though, still.
Well, I wanted to get to that, too. Before, like,
let's
forward.
Not go giving them the cup just yet.
Yeah, I wanted to do forwards and then D, yeah.
I thought Matt Martin's looked very good, actually.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all. And listen, I hated asking that question because I hate to be one of those guys who comes across as I don't like him because I think he actually does play a valuable role. And I know what it's like to be 19. And I have no idea what it's like to be 19 with that much pressure. Not only are you playing in the NHL, you're playing for the Leafs. It's a different ballgame. And to have a guy in there who's unaffected by that, who can pull you through that, even if you are more skilled than he is, you know, like a Mitch Marner might be or an Austin Matthews would be, and they're more skilled than most guys in the league, I feel like having a guy who can just go, it's going to be cool. Everything at 19 or 20 feels like it's up or it's really down. And I know that from all the relationships I was in at that point. And I'm glad that they do have guys like that in there because they do need them. And if he takes that role and runs with it, fine.
Well, and Boyle and Kapanen at the end of the year last year were pretty good.
They were.
So I'm sure seeing that, maybe they're thinking, hey, if we put a little bit more skill on that line with him, that it works better. And so maybe that's part of what goes into Alton as well, because Alton and Brown and Martin, there's some actual guys who can score on that line too.
And there was a There was a definite problem at 4C last year. I mean, like Ben Smith just was not cutting it, and I don't think they expected to do as well, but they couldn't rely on that line until Brian Boyle got to town.
It was crazy.
Right?
Like, it was a carousel. I think Holland played
Peter
8
Holland.
games, probably 6 were at center. Byron Frey's got a couple in there. Gauthier played about 25. Smith was about 30, and I think Boyle was another 25, plus the playoffs. Like, it was never consistent. And even Boyle, by the way, who was supposed to be like the savior of that fourth line, he had 3 assists. Like, that's all
And
he
didn't
had
score.
in that stretch. Didn't score a single goal as a Leaf, although he set one up in the playoffs. That was pretty good.
Sort of important, that one.
Yeah, and Matt Martin was a key part of that play.
So I don't know. Just a thought.
Crazy.
Anyway, I don't want to come across as a Matt Martin hater because I most definitely am not.